Hello, everyone. I'm Kristy Rice, and welcome to today's live. And yes, we are live. And if you are on Team Replay, if you're on Team Replay, welcome as well. And please know that I'm so thrilled that you're here, and please get involved in the conversations below. But I am here because ultimately I am obsessed with watercolor and painting the watercolors on all the surfaces. And today, and for the next 2 weeks, actually, it's about ornaments. Now, everything that I'm teaching you today applies to paper as well, because I'm using Bisqueware ornaments, and they are very porous, very porous. They have a texture very similar to cold press watercolor paper, which if you know, it's my favorite, and it's kind of the standard for watercolor. So the surfaces are so similar. So if you are painting along with me today as I paint Plumeria and Hibiscus, you can certainly feel confident in following along if you're not painting on ornaments. A lot of questions yesterday about supplies. So stick with me. Before we get started with painting, I'm going to address a few questions. So this is Bisqueware, and I will be 100% honest with you, it's very difficult to find on the retail level. We get ours wholesale. We found a supplier a couple years ago, and then they stopped offering them last year. So it's been a little tricky. So I've been getting a ton of questions about that. I'm not ignoring you, I promise. But it's we are also looking for a new supplier. We had like a nice backlog quantity of these, but they're very hard to find. A nice kind of stand-in would be wood slices. I have a video here on my channel about painting on wood slices. I am going to link that below later on. And on yesterday's video, which is also in the description below, I link that video as well. So, or of course, just paint on paper. You could honestly turn a thick watercolor paper into an ornament as well. And then a lot of questions about finishing. We've tried out a bunch of different things. I'm going to have Kelly go ahead and confirm what we're using to finish. We reached out to our studio manager just to confirm what we've landed on, because we've been testing a lot of things over the years. And last year we figured out the perfect option. I just want to make sure I have that right. So today we are going to be painting Plumeria and Hibiscus. And my mom, I always think, I told you a story yesterday about my Aunt Susie, and today it's a story about my mom. I don't know what we were doing the one time, but she was like, oh, look at the hibiscus. They're so beautiful. She called hibiscus. So I often will like slip and call them hibiscus and not even realize. So if I say that today, just don't laugh too hard. So anywho, we're going to go ahead down to the painting table now, and I'm just going to get you familiar with the supplies that we're using. And yeah, we're going to get to it. So I brought in another palette today because I need some more traditional yellows and oranges. So I have my Daniel Smith palette here handy for that. I have my gesso. Again, a lot of folks were asking why gesso and not gouache, white gouache. I like the fact that gesso, once it dries, it's cured, so it doesn't reconstitute once it's dry. And I like that for the ornaments. Just make sure not to get it into your palettes, because it will really wreak havoc in your watercolor palettes. So keep an eye on that. We've got our Bisqueware ornaments. And then I've got my Art for Joy's Sake palette. I do have a mechanical pencil today. I'm going to do a little sketching. I have some paper just in case we start talking about paper. I'm using Academy. And then, of course, the Art for Joy's Sake brushes. I have got a whole just mess of them here. I'm going to grab this whole pile. Like, this is like my go-to pile of brushes. I do have a new brush set coming out. You can get a peek at them here. These are my samples. But the traditional Art for Joy's Sake set is right here. Here's a couple right here. And so we're going to be using that. I might even use my new travel brush. Someone was asking about my number 6 round travel brush, which is coming soon. That's on the table as well. So let's talk about brushes. If you don't have my brush set and you're just using what you have, wonderful. If you do have a number 6 round with a nice point, that would be a great way to start. And a very versatile brush. So I'm going to go ahead. We're going to work on the Plumeria. Kelly's going to go ahead and get that up on the screen so you can take a screenshot if you are painting along. Go ahead. There we go. There she is. So this is the inspiration image I'm going to be using. We're going to do some greenery and we're going to do a main floral moment kind of off center here. All right. So the reason I have the pencil out today is because I want a little more accuracy with the way that these petals are overlapping each other. So as I often start, I'm going to go right in the center here and establish my center. And then I'm going to go ahead in and kind of lightly. And the thing is, on Bisqueware, the pencil marks are, they're a lot darker, a lot easier. And I'm just going to sketch in very simply how these plumeria are overlapping. And that's the thing, at least in my brain, that really exemplifies a plumeria bloom, is this very specific and kind of curious way that the petals overlap one another. I'm actually going to bring this down a little bit. And yes, you can erase on Bisqueware. It's so cool. And see how easily it smears, the pencil smears, which is no problem because we're going to be painting right over that. But I wanted to really establish the very specific way that plumeria overlaps. And then I'm going to go ahead in here and just pencil in where I want to put some of the leafy moments. There. Maybe this one kind of goes like this. And then, yeah, that one's curving down. So just notice the petals of the plumeria still are based on, you know how I love to teach sketching, and base it on the idea of a teardrop, right? Think of a teardrop. So the base of the teardrop is kind of buried here, and then it comes to a point up here, but it's a soft point. It's not a harsh point. And then you just want to think about what part of that teardrop then disappears and is being overlapped by, you guessed it, your next teardrop. All right. The other thing about a plumeria is they've got this very subtle kind of curl that happens along the edges of some of the petals. And so that curl can just be signified with a little bit, an extra line, basically a mirrored line along the same silhouette, right? All right, so let's take a look at this. I think we do need another leaf in here. Let's put it right here. I'll just go off the edge, but this is ooh. That was odd. Hold on for a Hey friends, are you able to hear me? We're having a little bit of a technical difficulty very unexpectedly. Let me know if you can hear me. Yes, yes, it's okay now. I have no idea, friends, what happened. Oh my gosh, that was so strange. All right, fixed, I guess. Oh my goodness, that was really weird. All of a sudden we got interference. So I had to switch microphones. Okay, we're going to get into painting, friends. All right, awesome. Okay, here we go. So I am going to start with a very light yellow and just dab that all over. And kind of scrub it onto the surface. And you're going to get a little dirty kind of residue happening from the pencil. That's to be expected. If you're working on paper, you're not going to see that most likely. A little bit of yellow. And we're going to drop in a little more yellow. Ooh, that's too much yellow. A little bit of wet on damp right now. If you're curious about wet on damp versus wet on dry, a whole collection of techniques that I call WOWed. I'm going to link a video below later about all of that. That might be helpful, especially if you're new and just starting to watch the channel. And now I'm going in with a lifting technique and kind of smoothing things out, adding clean water here, and then blotting my brush on a paper towel, a little scrunched up paper towel here, and then pulling back the color and blotting, pulling back. And my brush is just, it's a clean brush except for, you know, the yellow that is on the brush. This yellow is more of a staining yellow. I think it's just a cadmium. And so it's going to stain a little bit more, and really more than lifting, I'm getting a smoothing effect. And then I'm going to go in with starting to get a little pink into the edges. Little pink up here. And blend it down with some clean water. Air dry clay. This is a great question. The question is, could you use air dry clay? I have not ever used it, so I cannot speak very specifically to like what the surface would be like and what the challenges would be. My instinct is telling me, however, it might be something, it might work. It might actually work really well. It would just be a situation where you'd have to try and know that you could have some kind of frustration moments, so to speak. Ooh, that was a lot of paint. I'm going to pick some of that up and carry it up here. I know some of you said that in preparation for today, you were actually kind of getting ready with some air dry clay. So I'd be curious if there's anyone in the comments who actually tried it and had any success, or if you did have any struggles, what they were. I'd love to hear that. So I'm just continuing to layer on the pink, blot my brush, add clean water, and then push back towards the edge and lift and push and flood that water in towards the edge to kind of get this really cool little tip of color just along the edge. I love that. I love that effect from just manipulating and working that color back and forth, back and forth. Plumeria has a very distinctive kind of ombre effect in the petals that I think is just so beautiful. And so I'm trying to, while I'm not trying to be terribly realistic here, I am trying to get that ombre vibe going. We have Kelly again with us today. If you want to say, hey, Kelly, hey. She is managing your questions and just kind of all the behind the scenes magic. That's our Kelly. Hello, Charlotte. Thanks for being here. Hey, Laura. Thank you. Echoing. So we are hearing an echo. We heard some folks were saying there was an echo yesterday, but when I listened to the replay, I did not hear an echo. So that makes me think it could be something on your end. If you are hearing an echo or you're having any issues with like kind of the image, you might want to kind of rewind, and that way you're not watching it 100% live, like you might be behind a couple seconds, but that could fix any like image or sound quality that you might be having that might be the result of kind of some internet stuff potentially. So that's just a little trick to try, because I was worried about the echo some people were speaking of, but again, on the replay, I didn't hear the echo. So go ahead and give that a try and see if that helps at all. I'm going to grab a little bit of orange and start laying down some color from the center. And the same thing, I'm just going to take a clean brush and kind of stroke it back a little bit. Here we go. Yay. Clean water, and I'm really editing. You heard an echo until I changed my mic. Oh gosh, it's crazy how this all works or doesn't work. All right, I'm going back in with the pink on the underside of this petal. The key here to kind of break down this technique for you, and this is one thing that I love. I love for you, of course, I love for folks to paint along with me. That is so fun and important. But I also want you to understand kind of the technique behind what I'm doing on repeat, essentially, so that you can just repeat it yourself in other scenarios and other situations. And so I'm basically adding color and then selectively removing color, like I am right here with a dry or very just barely damp brush, to edit the shape. And it might seem odd, like, Kristy, you're putting color down and then almost like removing it all. Yeah, but what I'm getting, the really cool effects that I'm getting by doing that are just that. They're really cool. And I'm adding depth and dimension. I'm defining shapes. And I love that technique. I don't know. I know a plumeria, I think, is like very tropical. Very tropical. Yeah. The pinwheels you blow on. Yeah, that's a really good point. I think that is a very good comparison. I'm just mixing up a nice, rich, what I would call kind of a tropical green. On the Art for Joy's Sake palette, it is that beautiful kind of medium green next to the peach, and then a little bit of that emeraldy green mixed together. And I'm going to add a stroke along one of those shapes that I sketched out. I'm going to immediately rinse my brush, and then I'm going to backfill with some of that water. And then remember, friends, this can all work on paper. All of these techniques are exactly what I would be doing if I were working on paper. So if you have no interest in ornaments, just know that. I'm just backfilling and spreading that initial stroke of color around. Feel free to dab in. I'm dabbing in some yellow. And then again, taking that damp brush and spreading that yellow around. And I want to lift back some of this color up here. It's just too much, and there's like a puddle of green. So blotting my brush, scooping, blotting, scooping. And I'm scooping towards the edge that I want to be more dark and intense. And I will add detail later as these layers dry. Scoop, blot, scoop, blot. All right. I'm going to pick up a little of whatever this blue was on the palette and scoop up a little green at the same time. Can you use watercolor markers? We have found no. That when you go to add the fixative, it tends to create some issues, and there's some bleeding that happens with watercolor markers. So I have in the early years of doing this, I was using watercolor markers, and I'll be honest, it created some really cool effects, but I had to repaint way too many ornaments to make that worthwhile, because of the bleeding that was happening once any fixative was applied. So I would stay away from that, shy away from that for sure. All right. I like getting in the greens so I just can get a sense of where the heck I'm at and where the heck I'm going. It gives me structure. And yes, I am dirtying up the yellow really badly on my Art for Joy's Sake palette, but it's almost empty. I'm going to be switching out for a new pan. So I'm just going in because I'm probably going to, be switching that out today. I like that green. So I'm going to add a little bit of it up here. Rinsing my brush. Friends, I'm using the 1/4 inch dagger. It is so versatile. See how you can kind of notch in, cut in. Look at that. It's just one brush, but gosh, you can do so much. If you're curious about it, Kelly can go ahead and put up the QR code for that. We are running low in stock on Amazon of the brushes. Makes an awesome gift. Anywho, so yesterday's ornaments, I'm going to go ahead and give you a look at those. I am going to put this one aside and let these layers dry. I'm going to give you a peek. We did sell the rose from yesterday, but we still have the pansy, which I continued working on quite a bit after yesterday's live. And then this just sweet little transitional rusty red flower that I love so much with this kind of washy watercolor background. And these are still available. Kelly already put that link up. So anywho, and they, this one I did a hand watercolored greenish, bluish ribbon. And this one I did, I think it was very similar, but a little more blue in the hand dyed ribbon on that one. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start the next ornament. I think I'm going to do another Plumeria, but I'm going to do a looser Plumeria. Much looser. Ooh, I just dirtied up that beautiful orange real good. All right. My new book coming out in Europe. The new brushes. So the new book coming out in Europe, I am not sure of that. I honestly, we are having some major issues with the book in the US and when it was coming out. So I cannot answer that question today. If you would like, you can email me and I can get back to you more specifically about that. The brushes, the new brush set, I am hoping by the end of January to make them available on Amazon. To be quite honest, they were supposed to be available for the holiday. But it's actually very sad. The factory that makes the ferrules for my brushes, it burnt to the ground about 2.5 months ago. So sad. And it took them quite a while to get back up and running in terms of production. So yeah, but they are back up and running and we are back up in production. And so, but obviously just an unforeseen delay on that front. And I'm just going in here very loose, laying down color and then very quickly adding water to that color. Love that. I'm going to go ahead in with the greens. I'm going to make sure not to touch that flower because I don't want any bleeding. Well, a little bit of bleeding would be okay. And this is a press, drag, and lift. And then this one is a little bit more of a sweep. So like a press, sweep, downstroke, sweep. See that? I'm going to go ahead and add just a little suggestion of a bud. I don't really know what a Plumeria bud looks like, but does it really matter what it actually looks like? No. So I'm going to just kind of do that up there. And then pull back a little bit with the brush, with a little bit of dampness on the brush. There we go. Need a little bit of pink over here. I'm just gonna dab some on with a dry brush and then come back and wet it so it kind of moves a little bit more like I would expect. And I'm refining this area, the shape of this area. As I do that, every stroke that you make can either define the area that you're working on or define the areas that are surrounding the area that you're actually focused on. And sometimes, if you're lucky, both. Which I love. That's one of the things I adore about watercolor. I mean, that's true for any medium, though. That's really true for any medium. All right, get some more leaves. And this is our base layer. Very, very base. I will say that these ornaments are even more porous. You get more bleeding, more kind of a flowiness that you have to contend with than on watercolor paper. So things on these ornaments look messier for longer than on watercolor paper, which can be like kind of unnerving until you get used to it. But you do get used to it. All right, I'm gonna let that dry. And let's come back to this lovely little lady here. You're welcome. Thank you all for being here so much. I'm just blending. There was a little moment of pink here and she's being resistant. So I'm going to add some yellow. That's a little trick that I love. If you have an area and you're trying to remove some color and you're using the lifting technique, and it's being resistant, add a little bit of the same color or a complementing color like I did there to cover up or blend that pink that was being resistant. I added a little bit of yellow over top, and I'm actually doing that down here as well and scrubbing, but still with a light touch. And that can sometimes help, oddly enough, to bring in another color. It gives a little bit more coverage, and it just helps that blending process. See that? So I was able to get that blend going a little better. A little bit of orange coming out from here. All right, this is one of the techniques I use all the time. So I added a little spot of orange and then immediately rinsed my brush and added some moisture to my brush. And then I'm laying down some of that moisture right next to the orange. And then I'm cleaning my brush again and blending out again. And see what that does. It gives you a beautiful soft ombre, but without carrying all of the intensity of the color into the rest of the petal. The majority of the intensity of that orange is right there where I first laid it down, but it still gives me a beautiful transition into the rest of the petal. Does that make sense? Can I get a yes if that makes sense? I hope it does. And if you have questions, of course, just let me know. I'm going to go ahead and do that again with a little bit of pink and orange on my brush, because why not? Just going to create a little notch of that color right there. Rinse my brush. Yes. I know we're having lots of questions on the availability of these ornaments. I promise you, we are not gatekeeping the ornament supplier. It is a difficult thing to find. I will tell you that. We are currently searching for a new supplier. We are at the tail end of our supply. So come next year, we gotta find a new supplier. So very difficult. I'm going ahead and repeating that technique with a little bit of pink over top of the orange to intensify it. There we go. And while I'm doing this, it's also helping me define the center of the flower. It's helping me just define this little petal curve here that I'm keeping light. So fun. This process is so meditative. I adore it so much. I'm going to keep doing that around. A little bit of orange over here. This orange is a little more yellow in it. I'm using the very point of my 1/4" dagger. Isn't that wonderful? That I can go from a beautiful big sweep of color right down to a hairline stroke of color. I just love it. That's why I love my brushes, but I'm biased. I'll tell you what, friends, they're seriously the only brushes I use. And I wasn't sure that was going to be the case. I mean, I knew as I was designing them that I love them. I wasn't planning to talk about this, so forgive me, please. But I knew that what I was using when I was designing them, I knew that I loved them. And I knew I had been using another brand's dagger for years. And I had been begging them to like white label that dagger with me for years. And they just kept ignoring me and ghosting me. So that's what made me decide to go ahead and build my own, because there were things about that dagger that I didn't love that I wanted to change anyway. But yeah, anywho, I was like, you know, designing these brushes, and I was like, you know I love daggers and I know I love synthetic, but am I still going to want to go back to some of my original favorites? And I'll be honest, I never have. And I am having a blast here, just adding these details around and around the flower. Well, Mary, I have some good news for you. In my new brush set, there is an 1/8" dagger coming your way then, friend. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Very excited about the 1/8" dagger. She is fun. You can get a closer look at what's going on here. Yay. Debbie, thank you so much. I'm glad I'm fun. That makes my heart happy. I try. I try. My dogs are barking. I have Mexican hairless dogs, and they are the most foul little beasts sometimes. And then sometimes they're sweet as pie. Right now, they're more on the foul side. They're just barking at the wind, being annoying and loud for no reason. Kelly can tell you that I say what's on my mind. And there's always something on my mind. And I don't mince words. Right, Kel? Could you use a dried salt dough ornament for this project? Friend, I do not know. But if dried salt dough is easy to make, I say go for it. See what happens and report back to us. All right? I have not done dried salt dough since I was in 2nd grade. But honestly, that is a fantastic thought. Love it. I am just enjoying the detailing of this so much. I think some folks are calling this the flow state now. I feel like I'm old. I'm like, okay, I just call this that moment when you're making art and everything fades away and it's glorious. But I think the new name for it is the flow state. Nothing wrong with that name. Actually, that name sounds glorious. So I am in the flow state with y'all right now. And the sun is shining outside my window. Ooh, we got some snow here in Pennsylvania over the weekend. Can you believe that? The reason I'm not specifically teaching anything right now, friends, is because I am using that same technique where I'm laying down color and then just slowly adding color, adding water, and spreading it around to define. And that's what's lovely. And that's what helps you get into these states in your art making, where you are in an area of your painting where you are repeating a technique. And it's a lovely place to be in. It's where a lot of the relaxation happens beautifully. I'm gonna put this down just a skosh so you can see it closer. And I want that for you. I want you to enter these more relaxing states. And it happens when you become comfortable with a technique. And even better, when you become comfortable with a few techniques. I'm just creating a little bud over here for a couple of reasons. I did get a little splash of green here unexpectedly, but I'm not going to worry about it, right? We're not going to worry about it. And then I'm going to pull back some of that color just to keep that nice smooth effect that we've got going on here. And just a little dab up here so that looks purposeful and not like another color splash. It just looks like a little side view, a little bud, a little partial view. Snow in Missouri also. Fun, fun. Took a sip of tea, but Laura says the joy flow. I like that. You know I do. You know I do. All right. I got some of that cool texture right here because my brush was so dry. This naturally happens when your brush is dry. The bristles start to separate. Use that to your advantage and do some cool dry brush stuff. Let me show you on paper. Just pick up a little bit of color and do some of that. Really cool dry brush. Use that to your advantage. Sometimes with watercolor, that's like a oh crap moment. Sorry, because you're like, oh, it's not smooth and flowy, but that's actually a thing. It's dry brush and it's lovely. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing, friends. I don't know. Gosh, are we going to get to the hibiscus today? If we don't, it's okay. We will get there. I'll bring it in on another day. But you go where your inspiration lies. I'm going to notch in some really dark green mixed with blue. Use what you have. Use what you love. And just instead, here's a little fun thing you can do. Instead of blending it out, you use strokes to add texture to blend it into the rest of your leaf. Look what happened there. Isn't that glorious? So I started just by adding really dark blue-green, and then I blended it into the rest of the leaf with strokes. And now I'm going over top with more of just blue, and isn't that gorgeous? Friends, remember to be kind to yourself. If you see a part on your painting as you're painting it and you're really in love with it, call it out. Tell yourself it's awesome. It's not boastful. It's just good sense and it's good self-care to be kind to yourself as you're painting. So I give you all the permission to do that. All right. I'm going to go in here. I mixed a little bit of my fuchsia pink into my blue, and of course, what did I get? I got this really moody purple, and on top of green, purple can be just a really surprising but lovely shadowy color. And as I go, I'm editing those shapes. Oh, Judy. Judy says, Kristy, I just wanted to thank you publicly for your generosity when you gifted me your beautiful palette. It has become my favorite palette. Judy, I'm so glad. I'm so glad to hear that. And that makes my heart so happy. Hold on a minute. I think I have something here from Judy. I sure do. So Judy, I have to apologize. I have a little pile on my desk of mail that I've received that I've opened. But I always make it a point to try to open that mail. And this is a great time because I want this to dry. But I am so in love with where this is going. So it kind of looks like cabbage, but whatever. I'm still loving it. Judy sent me some art that I absolutely adore. And I've been waiting to make a TikTok and a YouTube short out of it because I love it so much. But Judy, can I show? Do I have permission to show it? Please. Let me know. Oh, I'm waiting. I'm waiting for her to say yes before I show it. But anyway, I have started receiving mail from folks, and it has kind of blown me away. And so as we wait for Judy to say yes, okay, she said yes. Yay! And so you're ready for this? So I've been so behind. I've been traveling a ton, and I have this little pile on my desk of things that I need to make content out of and thank people for. So this is what she made. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. I love it so much. Isn't that great? Isn't that so cool? It's like perfect. As a matter of fact, I want to show you this. So I filmed a video recently, and I had no intentions of showing you these. This is not like a paid placement in this video, but I did a video in partnership with Pair Eyewear recently, and they sent me a new prescription set of glasses, and they're the ones where you have the little frames to place over. Look how bright this red is. I love it. But it matches my logo perfectly. Now I don't have the right bun in today, but hello. It's like perfect. So isn't Judy incredibly talented? And she sent me a lovely note with it, and I am just so grateful. So thank you, Judy, so much. Okay, we're gonna get back to painting, I promise. But and Pair Eyewear just got like an extra little placement in one of my videos because I'm obsessed with these glasses. But anywho, I thank you so much, and I'm so thrilled. So many of you reached out and being so excited about the palette and loving it and saying all the kind things about it. So I appreciate that so much. And if you're wondering what in the world we're talking about, let's get back to the painting table, and I'll show you a quick look at my Art for Joy's Sake palette, which is this little beauty here. It's custom designed. There's nothing like it out there, friends. Nothing. It's a classic travel palette style. I'm sure you've seen these, like A Gallo Paints does these. This container, like Jane Davenport has these palettes. Art Philosophy uses the body like this. It's a very classic. It's got the finger hold if you're out painting outside. But I am the first one to make it beautiful in terms of like some pattern. I've seen some colors. I've seen some textures. I know Schminka does a really beautiful watercolor texture on theirs, and I needed it to have more. So it says Making Art for Joy's Sake. It does have my little logo. And then when you open it up, though, it's got a highly curated set of 12 colors. And the 12 colors seem very odd at first. I will be the first to admit that. But they were very carefully chosen. And I do have a video where I show you a mixing chart where you see all that you can get from this palette and some of the crazy, trendy, deeply unique colors that you can get out of this palette, in addition to, of course, your classics, is just mind-blowing. So I will link that color mixing chart below so you can see that. And oh yes, thank you. No one does the rose gold tray. All of the trays are silver. I did a rose gold tray. And I laugh when people say, I get reviews, of course, and some people are like, it's small. There's not a lot of mixing room. And I'm like, are you crazy? Look at all that mixing room. You just have to take the tray out. That's a little secret. Sometimes I didn't realize it for years of using these that the trace came out. But anyhow, that is the palette. It comes with a swatching card that is massive, and lots of suggestions. And you get a QR code that takes you to an hour-long exclusive lesson from me. So anywho, enough plugging my palette. Let's get back to painting these beautiful ornaments. All right. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and detail this leaf. I'm going to just, the dagger's been serving me well today. I'm going to stick with her. And, how do I want to detail this one? Maybe with more yellow. And let's see how this does. Maybe two-tone. So I got that yellowy green on my brush, and then I dip the tip into the bluey purpley moment here. And I'm just going to go up here with the pointed side facing in. I'm going to carve out. Look at that. Oh, that's pretty. Just going to carve out. Going really fine here. How's this going to go, Kristy Rice? Talk to yourself, friends. Nothing wrong with talking to yourself. And you're probably thinking, okay, well, you covered all of that base color that you so lovingly put down originally. Yeah, but look at some of it's peeking out. And isn't that gorgeous? I love that. There is not a link for the ornaments, Kim. I apologize. It's been a little bit of a situation. The ornaments are not the exact ones that we're using. The company that makes them stopped making them last year, and I'm using leftovers that we had in inventory. So like everyone watching, we're also looking for the supplier, a new supplier. Ooh, that's pretty. I'm removing some of that color that I just put down as an experiment here. And I like where the experiment is taking me. I'm going right over the edge. So friends, if you are interested in picking up these ornaments, know that the edges are painted. And the ornaments are available for sale. They go live every day for the next 2 weeks, because I'm going to be live every day for the next 2 weeks. They go live right around dinner time, Eastern time. So 5, 6 p.m. I have to finish them, literally finish the artwork, take photos, and get them online. Yesterday, we also had a rose, and that one already sold. They do typically go very fast within a couple of days. So if you've got your eye on one for a gift, these make incredible gifts, because I give them every year. And I go to these folks' homes, friends, family that I give them to, and I see them hanging every year, all year long. These are not the ornaments that just stay on your tree if that's what you celebrate. These ornaments are hung from, in front of a window. They are hung, you can place them on a little stand, on the mantle, on a shelf. I consider these pieces of art, fine art. Once a year, I release my original artwork, and I consider these ornaments part of that release. And if you are interested in my studio release of original paintings, there are select pieces still available on the website right now on KristyRice.com. And we will be releasing new ones starting on, I believe it's Saturday. So if you're not signed up for our email list, you might want to think about it. We call it a never annoying email list. And never annoying because we honestly don't send you stuff a lot. And it's a great way to be the first to know about things like my studio art sale and different things. So I would highly suggest getting on that email list. I'm not sure. I don't know if they didn't sell well or why they stopped making them. Maybe Kelly has more information. They are a Bisqueware. Looking up, they're a Bisqueware. So if you search for Bisqueware ornaments or Bisque ornaments, I am actually I haven't used it yet today, but I was using GESSO yesterday, and I was not using it interchangeably. I was exclusively using GESSO mixed in with watercolor yesterday. Oh, thank you, Kim. This one is still available. And I will say, I spent several more hours. I spent about 3 more hours on her after yesterday's live. She is signed. They all are signed. And she has a ton of texture. There we go. You can see it now. I added the little snowy dots, or they could just be dots. And there's all of these very textural dots in the white of the flower. I just thought it was a really unique way to add white into the pansy center. There is so much detail on this beauty. I really love her so much. And I love these little I added these like squiggly details on the silhouette. Anyway, I had fun with her. Oh yeah, check out your local ceramic store. And will you please let me know if they are amiable to that? Because if they're willing to make some, we would buy like 100. So yeah, thank you so much, friends. I appreciate that. We would buy a bunch. All right, let me actually let this one dry. We're going to come back to this beauty, and I'm going to go right into the detail work on this Plumeria. Let's see. What do I want to do? Yellow. I need a clean spot on this palette, y'all. I very rarely clean my palette, but these are the moments when I do, when I just need a clean area. And I need her. I've got my liner brush, part of the Art for Joy's Sake collection. And I am mixing up a syrupy mix of color because I want this color to really make an appearance. This Plumeria is definitely not realistic, but she gonna be fun. I love linear detail, friends, and I love getting very, I love taking liberties with my linear detail. If you're like, what the heck, Kristy Rice, is linear detail? I'm going to link a video below where I go over all the basic beginner techniques of watercolor. Linear detail is one that I have added to the mix of what I consider to be kind of a standard, basic, essential watercolor technique. I'm going into the center here and with an alizarin crimson like color, and I am just defining that center and pulling out some lines to. You found them at Michael's. Okay, wonderful. You found Bisqueware at Michael's. Friends, Mayday, Mayday. She found Bisqueware at Michael's. That is exciting. Can you let everybody know where, just in case, if someone goes to their local Michael's and doesn't have luck, maybe that Michael's would be willing to ship. I know I've actually had to do that in past years for different things, and they will ship. Some stores will ship to other stores, because I know many of you are jonesing to make gifts out of these. I know you are. The calendar. Kim is asking about the calendar. And if you're on Team Replay, you might be watching this in April of 2023 or something. I appreciate you being understanding and stick with us because this video was made right before the holidays of 2022. So this is the floral calendar for this year. It's available on KristyRice.com. Kelly's going to pop up the link to our holiday collection in a few moments. There is if you just take a screenshot or take a picture of that, you can have it in your phone, and then just go ahead and follow that link. Or you can just literally hold your camera right up to the screen right now. That's probably the easier thing. Click on the URL that pops up in yellow, and it's going to take you right to our holiday collection, and you will find the calendars. And you will have the option of choosing an easel or not. These are extremely thick, though. They literally, you could just prop them up on something if you didn't want to do the easel. But this is the calendar. I love December. Isn't she pretty? Love her so much. October, September. Kelly, is this still the custom calligraphy we had done? I just want to make sure I'm saying the right thing. I believe this was custom calligraphy. This isn't just a font, but correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, unfinished ceramic. I believe that's the same thing. Yes. Yeah, so this is custom calligraphy we had done that is exclusive to our calendars. So I just love that. So pretty, so pretty. And so this, all of this shimmer, do you see this shimmer on these flowers, friends? This is all hand painted. This is not foil or a finish that's added by a machine. Every single one has hand painting on top of the reproduced original artwork of mine. It's something that we do in our wedding invitations. I have another business called Momental Designs. This is all added by hand by our team of artists. Yes. So there's the hydrangea. There's the dahlia, the wild, fiery dahlia. I love her. She's wild. The poppies. Anyhow, all right. Okay. We only have a limited quantity of the calendars every year because they are hand detailed. It's pretty intense work. So we can only do so many because our team also does production of wedding invitations. And so if you do have those on your list, just something to keep in mind. And I am just following the silhouette of the big stroked petals that I added earlier to decide where to add that linear detail. Isn't that fun? I enjoy that. And linear detail can also, if the lines, you know, the distance between the lines determines how the initial effect of the lines is perceived. So right now I'm adding overlapping lines, and it's actually becoming a way for me to add shadow to my work. So you don't always have to think of adding shadow and depth in terms of adding big, thick strokes or washes. You can think of adding shadow and depth with repeated or lines very close together. See how that's happening there? And this is becoming a very distinctive shadow area. But it's truly just made up of a lot of lines close to one another. Friends, let me know. Do you have questions? Do you have technical questions? Do you have, you know, whatever? I'm here for you. This is not only a paint along, it's not only a way for, of course, for us to let you know about what we offer for the holidays, but this is a open Q&A. And I love Q&A, and I've become really good at painting and talking at the same time. So, oh man. All right, I'm going to go into the green here. I've got some green from yesterday that's nice and syrupy. I'm just reconstituting that. Are you going to use some gold or silver? Everybody keeps asking me that. I think I should. If you know me well, friends, you know I'm not a fan of shimmery stuff. And I'll tell you the reason why. And it's not because shimmery is not beautiful. I love shimmery finishes, but over the years, because I'm a licensing artist and because we do take the majority of my artwork gets scanned and then used for reproduction, shimmery finishes do not scan well. So it has just become a thing over the years that I have not, as a habit, incorporated shimmery paint into my work because I know that it's going to be scanned. And so that is the honest to goodness reason why you don't see me using shimmery moments in my work. But I will tell you this. Next week, I'm going to be painting some ornaments that are very holiday themed. So like, you know, holiday trees, wreaths, snowy scenes. I will certainly be adding some shimmer inks, some mica finishes to those. So stay tuned. I promise. I promise. I'm really falling in love with some of these details on today's ornaments. And I'm going to be excited to see who they go home with. Really excited, honestly. All right, Cal, let's do a giveaway I told you today was going to be have a giveaway. I told you all of these lives were going to be have giveaways going on. And this is just for live. Sorry, team replay. I'm so sorry. Let's go ahead and give away a calendar today. And let's see. Kelly, what do you think? Should we do birthday again? We just have to make sure we can't have the same winners yesterday, which I think everybody would understand. Oh, rose gold would be so pretty. So pretty. Okay. Birthday closest to Christmas. Kelly has spoken. So start calling out your birthday. It doesn't matter if you are in the US or not. Everyone is eligible. Birthday closest to Christmas. I'm going to go ahead and get some gesso out while we're figuring out who the winner is. A little bit of white right in the center there. And then I'm going to go ahead and the detailing on this leaf. My gesso, this is my gesso that I put out on this palette yesterday. I've been spraying it every time I come in my studio since to keep it going. I've got a little lid. I love this little porcelain palette. I do have this in my Amazon shop. It's a tiered porcelain palette. Like, look at that. There's like, and there's 2 more layers. It's great for mixed media work because you just pop the lid on, keep it sprayed, and you save your paint from drying out. My dogs will not stop barking. I hope that you cannot hear them as much as I can. They are so annoying. Pretty, pretty, pretty. I feel now that I've got the white itch, I've scratched the white itch here. I feel like I want to add some down here, and I'm going to be brave because this is wet down here still and see what happens. Because it will mix together, the wet watercolor and the wet gesso. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I'm so glad I did that. Remember, be kind to yourself. Talk yourself up. Nobody else is gonna. Talk yourself up. Mm-hmm. There we go. All right. And let's see, out here. I need to get this out of the way because it's limiting my arm movements. I feel, no, I don't want to do it there. I'm going to explain to you why I just hesitated. So I was like, oh, I want to do some of that dark detailing like I did on this one up here. But then I said no, because this is the top of my ornament and I feel like it would have made things feel like they were kind of toppling over. It would have been too heavy. So I'm going to show you what I might do instead, or I'm going to do it so you can see what the alternative would be. Because I do feel like I do need some visual strength somewhere. And I actually, you're going to be surprised. So what I'm about to do, because I was excited about this area, but I'm going to do something else because I also know of the coolness that's going to happen when I spread that gesso around. Now you're probably like, Kristy, you spent all that time there. And friends, this is what is called bravery in creating your art, that sometimes something good can be made even better with a little bit of bravery. Now we'll see. That's yet to be seen here because I'm just still playing. And I am spreading that gesso and really letting it mix. really getting this area nice and wet, but look at that creamy, beautiful color that's happening. And then I will go back in here. I know I will. And I will add linear detail back in, but I'm really pleased with that decision. I'm going to go on the edge here with really darkness. And there we go. Ooh, I'm pleased with that decision. I know y'all are like, she's crazy. Don't understand the decisions this girl makes. I know. Thank you for sticking with me. All right. Ooh, that's fun. All right. All right. All right. I'm going to do a little bit of that up here. Now I'm thinking compositionally. I like that little bit of leaf that I did there. And I'm going to repeat it up here because it's a good compositional decision, add some balance. And I need to make sure this edge is finished beautifully. Mm-hmm. All right. Really, really loving that. You become the queen of the liner brush because of me. I love it. Thank you, Michelle. We have our winner. Yay. Laura is our winner. Yay. A little spatter of green there. And can I just tell you, instead of lifting it, I kind of want to, I like it. I'm going to add a few other moments of spatter there and make it purposeful. I really like it. Ooh, that area was wet. What in the, I was not expecting that. All right, let's see how I can turn this situation around. I don't know. You know what? Stuff happens. Usually for a reason. I actually like what's happening here. We're going to do a little bit of it. So I was going to do a dot over here and the area was wet, sadly. And so I had to kind of like reconfigure and I tried to lift it and it wouldn't lift. So instead I'm turning it into a really washy background, which I'm actually going to add everywhere because I like it so much. So I'm wetting the area first. I'm staying away from my leaves here as much as possible. And then I'm going to just dab in a little bit of blue green that I had on my palette and create this just beautiful washy watercoloriness. A little bit more water to spread that around. Oh, I like this. See, this is your classic happy accent. You could go right in. You don't even have to wet it first. Go right in and then just dab in some stronger moments. Some of those dots actually make a lot of sense. They need to be smoothed out though, just a skosh. Oh, happy accidents are the best, aren't they, friends? They are absolutely the best. Happy accidents give us creative energy like nothing else, because when we are surprised and delighted with the way something turns out, but we've created it, there's nothing like it. We've created our own surprise and delight, and there's just nothing like it. Am I right? Can I get a heck yeah? There she is. There she is. Amen. All right, I'm going to go back to this one. I really love these. I'm as obsessed as I am with this. I'm as obsessed. Totally loving this painting. I'm new to watercolor painting and looking to learn. Well, I will tell you, Linny girl, everything that I'm teaching on these ornaments truly applies to paper. So if you are going to rewatch and maybe paint with me, just know that. Just know that this instruction is going to apply to paper. And so I encourage you to do just that. Sorry, wanted to blend this. This was, oh, look at that's interesting. I'm going to blend and then I'm going to lift away to get some of the highlight back there. I'm rinsing my brush, coming back with a little more water and continuing blotting here and blending back, blending back. I'm just getting a little bit of white, a little bit of that gesso on the very tip, and I'm going in and I'm kind of scraping it in, dabbing it in, and then I'm going to go in with the damp brush and blend to get back some of those highlights. Let's show you again what that looks like. I'm going to do some of it here, just a little bit on the tip of my brush and scrub it in, and then blot my brush here so that we're not applying too much more white as I do this motion. I want a little bit more. So I'm going back in, dabbing in the white, blotting a little away and blending back up. And look at that creaminess, that highlight, even a little more. Oh, that's nice. Just that little crisp line. Look at that. Isn't that fun? I'm feeling the need for that dark, dark center moment. It's not dark enough. This will be in the middle of this one. Yeah. That's what she needed. Do a little bit of white. Plumeria definitely has some distinctive white moments on the edges and where the petals curl up. So I want to get that in there. Dab, dab, dab. Blot my brush on that paper towel here. And my paper towel is actually damp, and that is helping this technique. So if you can make sure your paper towel itself that you're dabbing on is damp, and that way a little bit of that dampness will transfer to your brush, that's actually a good thing. Very good thing. I like that crisp line that we got, so I'm going to add a little bit of that there. I'm going to go in over here and I'm not going to do the blending, I don't think, and I'm thinking compositionally now, little variety of line. So I'm not going to do the same technique again, like how I did the very similar technique on the base, 2 base layers. I'm mixing it up now on these top layers, mixing it up just to keep things interesting. Now, I do think we need a little bit of white over here, even though this is like supposed to be our bud. Just again, compositionally speaking, I think it's a good decision. All right, friends. I've got it in me. I feel like I want to do a background. Let's vote. Background or no background? Background or no background? You're welcome, Laura. Background or no background? Let me know, friends. Let me know. Yeah, background. Yeah. All right. I'm going to grab my new number 6 round travel brush because I just love her. She's got this gorgeous, long, tapering, pointy tip, which I adore. And I'm just going to go in with a really fun, tropically, well, this isn't as tropically as I thought it would be, is it now? And some white as I go. And some more white as I go. And I'm going to keep that wet edge. I am going to keep a little bit of white margin in most areas between the background and the floral. This is a way that I love to do backgrounds on paper or whatever. And I love the contrast of like the watercoloriness of some of the areas to the more like acryliciness. I'm just making up words like it's my business. I absolutely adore that lovely contrast. I've got some wet bluey paint in my gesso mixing palette from yesterday. I'm bringing that in, but it's just important to keep that wet edge. And I'm really mostly using the tip, especially when I'm cutting around and trying to keep a margin in between the background and my flowers. But I'm not being like super precious about keeping the margin, but I want it there in some areas. And then I'm going to go in and make sure my edge is just as thought of and attended to as everything else. A bit more blue here. All right, if you hear that squeaking, that is my studio chair. She's under duress, apparently. She just keeps squeaking at me. I think it's time for a new chair soon. All right, and I'm just moving around. I'm going right into this new area, mostly white on my brush. I'm gonna get some more blue, and there we go. Oh yeah, it was definitely a background needed here. Keeping that little bit of margin, friends, it really helps things pop. It's like a visual rest. It's a compositional consideration because it gives your eye rest from some of the repetition that's happening in the flower and in the leaves. So I love a little bit of that margin, leaving that margin in areas. I'm going to have a hard time parting with these today. I'll be honest, the Pansy from yesterday, I was like, oh my gosh, I had a hard time putting her up. This is why I only release my originals once a year, because it is such a difficult process for me. I don't know why. And I'm not sitting here being like, oh, all my art is so awesome, I can't part with it. No, it's just like a weird thing with me. I've always had a hard time putting like my originals out there. Like they're like my children or something. I don't know. It's weird. I should be used to it by now. I'm just not. All right. Oh, she's so pretty. I do like her. I do like the things that have been happening with her. Oh, there's a little bit of background here. What's that? Make sure I'm not off camera. Are we having a good time? Give me an emoji of choice to tell me you're having a good time. I want to make sure that these lives are valuable for you, friends. I am going live on Saturday, but unexpectedly, I am also posting a video. I wasn't planning on it, but I did have a sponsored video coming up. It's the Pear Eyewear video. I'm actually really excited about the content of it, but they wanted it to go live on Saturday, so it's going to. I'm new to all this sponsored video stuff. Super honored, though, that I get to do some of it. But anywho, you're going to have lots of opportunity to hear my craziness on Saturday. So I hope you'll join us for sure. I'm going to be here tomorrow as well. All right. Are we glad we chose the background? Are we glad we chose the background, friends? Let me know. Not a splurge. Oh, of course, Blick Art Materials says I need a new chair. I do need a new chair, and I'm so glad they're here. Thank you. Friends, have you noticed whoever is running the comments on the Blick Art Materials channel has the most fantastic insights. They've been popping up in our comments on my videos, and I'm always so appreciative. They have the best insights. It's fantastic. So I'm glad they're here. A little bit of white, I think, in the middle here, because I did it. Yeah. 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 All right. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Here, I just want you to see. I got to do a time check. I need a time check. So here is what we've been working on today. We didn't get to the hibiscus. Now, if I get a time check, maybe, oh, blushing now, but I'm serious. Maybe I'll start one. Maybe I'll start one. Let me go see what time it is, friends. Oh man. Yeah. I'm going to have, you know what, friends, I'm going to try to do a hibiscus later on today and get that posted for you later today. But I am going to finish these. They're very near complete. And I would be so honored if someone on this live actually picked one of these up for a gift or for themselves. And I'm going to show you the other two that are available. I actually really love this one too, because she just has a very vintage vibe going on. These are finished with a final kind of polyurethane style fixative that we've tested out over the years. So these will last forever. I have ornaments that I've painted in this way that are over a decade old, and they are perfect chef's kiss. And you know I keep them up year round. So they will be signed and dated on the back. I do make mention in the listing on KristyRice.com. You may get one that has some paint on the back, but that adds to the personality, I feel. And you're going to have the hand dyed ribbon. I dyed ribbon on yesterday's. I did the hand watercolored ribbon live yesterday. If you want to see that process, go ahead and watch yesterday's video. I will link it below for those on Team Replay. Love the top left. Oh, a lot of people have got this one. They're watching this one. The one paint blob on the palette looks like one of those portraits. The one I cleaned it. Oh, this one? This area? Cool. Oh, it does. I kind of see what you're talking about. Anywho, so they are still available. If you go ahead and just hover your camera app, open up your camera, hover over that QR code, and a little yellow window will pop up with a URL. Tap on it, and it's going to take you right to KristyRice.com to the holiday collection. And again, thank you to Team Replay for tolerating all the holiday talk, because you're watching this not during holidays. So anywho, friends, until tomorrow, I wish you all lots of happy painting and lots of happy planning about painting. And yeah, I will see you again very soon. Thank you. And that's all I got. Take care, friends. Bye.